per minute. Dictation given by V. Subbarao, Government Junior College, Pentapadu, Navin Hyderabad. I am glad to have this opportunity to meet the town planners of India. Town planning in India is really not a new kind of activity, and yet it is only recently I believe that any measure of wide attention has been given to it. Yet it is fairly recently that some marked attention has been paid in the states, bearing some individuals interested here and there to town planning. From your address, Mr. President, I gather that even now there are not many trained town planners in India. We have, of course, excellent engineers and we honor them, but it does not follow that a person who is an engineer, a very good engineer, is necessarily a town planner. I have been often impressing this on my colleagues. Now, in your address, you have referred to improvements and some suggestions for governments to consider. Broadly speaking, I like the proposals and suggestions you have made, but that is only a general response to your address, and I am not committing any government to it. But I do not think that some of your suggestions should be considered by the governments. I think that in the center we should continue to have a permanent planning organization. I agree with you that there should be regional planning organization, state or otherwise, but I do not think the center should make itself responsible for these for a variety of reasons. I do not like too much of centralization. The center should, of course, be intimately associated, and if they have a central planning organization, which I think should continue naturally, its help will be available to any region. But the state government should build up their own regional organizations. It takes time to do that, and it is not merely a question of reading books, but the experience of doing things. That experience has been gathered by some of our young planners. It would be a pity to break up that organization, and I hope it would therefore continue and be available for consultation for work in any part of India. City and town planning, and in a sense general planning for a country's growth, industrial or otherwise, is now a concept well recognized all over India. In our 5-year plans, that is recognized, although the full significance of planning is not always understood or appreciated. It is not merely making a list of things to be done, making a list of factories to be put up, dams to be put up, or other things and that type. It is an integrated process of the nation's development and not one-sided. I am not talking about national planning, but rather of town and country planning. Now, even in regard to town planning, I hope I am not mistaken, there is not enough realization of its importance in our presiding authorities in states, towns, and the rest. Some people are interested vaguely, but I do not think they realize the very great importance. Many of them may think that town planning is a good thing, but rather an expensive luxury, and therefore cannot afford it. But certainly in terms of human welfare, it is not at all expensive. We talk so much today of industrial trouble, student indiscipline, and so many other kinds of conflicts and controversies. They are troublesome indeed, but I do not think that often there are many causes and many reasons. Let us investigate them by all means. I do not mean to say that town planning will put an end to them. Nevertheless, I do not think that proper planning of cities, proper and spacious places to live in, open places, and all that would go a long way to create a healthy atmosphere for living, which is of greatest importance in the case of a factory. We talk of production or to increase our production. True, that is of basic importance, but production depends not only on the training you give to an individual, but also on the environment in which he works and lives. So we see economically it is a paying proposition for an industrialist or for a state to provide those amenities which on the lowest plane produce better work and lead to greater production. I do think that in our rapidly developing and changing India, we should pay enough attention to urban and rural planning. I suppose maybe I am mistaken. Much of the planning is directed to cities, in less to rural areas. Thank you.